For being here today. We always appreciate seeing you at Oshkosh.
Yeah,
As I understand it, the 41st one?
No. Hey, look, my son corrected me this morning. I thought it was our 41st. It's the 39th. He said, Dad, you're wrong. It's the 39th. But my son and I have been here every year for 39 consecutive years. That's not a bad record.
That's not a bad record.
Not a bad record.
A good handshake in that.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
What keeps you coming to Oshkosh every year?
Well, you got to do something that's fun. I mean, even at my age. And we started coming years ago, of course, back when, in fact, two of my kids, I gave them their check rides en route to Oshkosh. And so that was the place to go, the thing to do. And then it started off just kind of just enjoyable. But then for the last several years, I've been 8 years in the House and then 23 years in the Senate. And so I started passing the legislation because right now, I guess I'm the only active commercial pilot in the United States Senate. So I've enjoyed doing that because nobody else would do it. And so I guess selfishly, I see people I only see once a year, and I see them right here at Oshkosh.
It's the best community in the world, though, isn't it? It's a great event, sharing aviation and what's new and technologies. Yeah. And importantly, what's been going on, with the Pilot's Bill of Rights. You've been a champion for the Pilot's Bill of Rights from the beginning.
But there's a reason for that. Historically, it goes all the way back to the year 2000. Because of my activity in aviation, the fact that I'm a member of the United States Senate, I've been helping people. My fellow pilots have had problems where maybe they were stopped, did a field check or something like that, and were maybe not treated properly. The first one that I recall was actually a friend of yours and a friend of mine named Bob Hoover.
Oh, that's right.
And Bob Hoover, I remember that I actually rode with him several times where he would put that glass of water up on his deck and he'd go up there to 10,000 feet and he'd start doing all the rolls and all that and never spilling the water. And this guy arguably was the best pilot of all times. I mean, he's just great. Well, anyway, if you'll remember, he was checked on the field for some alleged violation, and they took his license away from him. It took me a whole year and had to pass a law to get it back. That kind of started the ball. So when people had problems, they'd call and we'd have to work together. Well, I never really realized how significant it was until I had occasion to be stopped way down in South Texas, Cameron County Airport, the farthest south airport in the state of Texas, right on the Mexican border. And I was landing there. Now that's an area that you might recall, but a lot of our viewers don't, that I was a builder and developer down there for 20 years. So I know I've landed at Cameron County Airport more than 100 times, I'm sure. So anyway, I landed there, and when I landed there were people working on the runway. Well, there was no NOTAMs, there was no X's on the runway. I was actually cleared to land by Valley Approach Control. Normally they don't clear you to land, but they did because I know they got down there, cleared to land on runway 13. Anyway, the next morning I was stopped and this guy turned me in for landing on that runway, and the front page cartoon in the Washington Post had me and my airplane chasing a bunch of Mexicans off the runway. And so I thought, wait a minute, they're going to take my license away from me. I didn't do anything wrong. That was the only area where you were guilty until proven innocent. And that's what started this whole thing. So since that time, we have continued. We've done the Pilot's Bill of Rights, Pilot's Bill of Rights 2, Pilot's Bill of Rights, and it's progressed until currently. The ones that we're going to be talking about here at Oshkosh this year are the bills that we passed as amendments on the FAA reauthorization bill, and it's the most we've ever passed in one year.
All right. Thank you for that.
I'll be with you at a 10 o'clock meeting. Tomorrow.
To share the great news with the rest of the people.
We're going to do that, and you're going to do the same thing.
That's right.
So we'll put our own show up.
Hey, we will. I like sharing that kind of good, positive momentum.
Yes, we will.
Speaking of that, the SARA Act, the Securing and Revitalization of Aviation, what do you think is going to happen with that?
Well, that's good. Well, we've done a lot of things in conjunction with that. First of all, you have been saying for years that we need to do something to revive aviation. Our number of pilots has decreased, and this has been a problem that you've dealt with and we've all dealt with. Well, in the bill that we have actually had a provision that is going to encourage and subsidize high schools who will have ground school in high school. So these kids, by the time the kids get out of high school, they've already made their career decisions and all of that. You got to catch them younger.
Right there.
So at the same time, we have another bill that we put into the FAA reauthorization bill that says that promotes companies who maintain airplanes. Their biggest problem is workforce. They can't find people to go to work. So now you want to catch them while they're still in high school. So we're doing the same thing there. Then you combine to that the third thing, third-class medical reform, and that did more to revive. And as a result of that, we have the most new pilots this year, 49,000 pilots. We've completely reversed it. You and I have been talking about this for years.
You know
and now
what, though?
it's a
I have to thank you again and again and again, because without your leadership, that wouldn't have happened. There's no way.
No, well, without you guys. Now, it was AOPA, but also EAA,
Everybody.
NBA, everybody joined in on that. And I remember it was not easy to get the majority of the United States Senate to do that, because they had all these people. I could name names, but you know who they are. No sense.
We both do.
We do. But
because of your perseverance and the support of the aviation community, to get that law changed like that is significant.
It's significant, is right. And all the accusations of the dangers and all that. And of course, bureaucracies don't like it. And unfortunately, I don't want to say this to the whole medical community, there are a lot of good doctor friends that we have. But now with the third-class medical, you can go just to your own doctor every 4 years. Has there been any change in your condition? But there are some doctors who had exclusively that market, and they were opposed to it. So we had lots of opposition out there, but it would happen. And as a result of those three things, we are just reviving
Aviation's you can feel it everywhere.
It is.
Back
it is.
and strong. Even the new pilot numbers are growing up.
Yeah.
One of the challenges we have is the number of DPEs that are available.
Okay. I suffered that myself. I had all of a sudden I have a tendency to put things off, and at the very last minute, I found out, hey, I have one more day. I have to get my instructor's license renewed, the biennial or whatever it was. And so I called around. Now, as much stuff as I do for pilots, I couldn't find a DPE to give me a check ride because, we're booked up until September. Oh, no, that doesn't help. I got to do it today. Yeah. And I finally found someone to do it. Now, what we did and what we have in this legislation now passed into law is two things. One, they allow a DPE to do 3 check rides a day instead of 2. Well, that increases it by that percentage. The second thing is it allows a DPE to go to a different geographic area. Heretofore, if you were in Lawton, Oklahoma, and there's nobody there to do that, you might have to go to Dallas to find somebody to do it. Now they can leave that area. So those two things are going to help the DPE area. Just another thing that's in the bill.
And we're going to actually ask the FAA to keep growing the number of DPEs out there. If we're going to get back to 30, 40,000 private pilot's licenses here, we need more of them.
Yeah, we're going to need more, but just from the influx that we are experiencing right now, we need more already.
So the Plane Act, PLA.
Okay, the Plane Act. Now, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow.
Yep.
And actually, it's going to be you and others, and Kathy Yotis is going to be involved in that, because the Plane Act is something we just introduced. Now, keep in mind what day this is. It was only 2 days ago that I filed the Plane Act. It's brand new. And one reason is I couldn't find a Democrat. I wanted to have a Democrat on there with me. So it'd be, in case some of your viewers don't know, I'm guilty of being a conservative Republican. So I had to find a Democrat. And so the Democrat that I found who was willing to do it was Senator King from Maine.
Yep.
Senator Angus King is a real good friend of mine. He happens to be with the Democrats in the Senate. And so I want anyone who's here at Oshkosh, who's from Maine, to go back home and write him a letter or call him up and let him know how pleased you are that he's going to be helping general aviation. And so that's what we are. So that's the Plane Act. We have a lot of good things we're going to be doing. But again, that's not the law yet. Now, and these things will be when we talk next year.
That's right. Well, one of the things that you know that I've been excited about is this whole Center for the Advancement of Aviation. You know, so we can get all these groups pulling together to make sure we've got high school programs, you know, Young Eagles, everything.
Yeah, and that's brilliant of you guys, because there's not been a central location. We have people off on doing the things that we're talking about doing,
right,
but not a central location. For example, we need to know in areas where we want to introduce legislation for this coming year, the reason that all these things happen, that happened here at Oshkosh. That's where people got together and said, this is what we need for general aviation. So you'll now have a central location, and you guys are the ones, I had nothing to do with that one, but I'll be a beneficiary of that.
We think it's the right thing to do because there's a lot of interested people. There's never been a better opportunity to be an aviator. We can get the U.S. government to really kind of put a center together to get this thing momentum.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to win here over the next generation.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for your leadership.
Well,
center.
you bet. I can't thank you enough and what AOPA has done for everybody out there who loves aviation. So, by the way, I'm going to have to get my old number out and see if maybe I'm getting close. I think almost everyone who's been a member longer than I have is dead now. So I want to see where I rank.
We'll take care of that for you.
All
Appreciate
right.
you being here
We'll
today.
You
see you
bet.
tomorrow morning.
Thanks so much. Yep.